Okay, we're up to today's daf is Tzadik Tes. We're up to the Mishnah on Tzadik Ches Amid Beis. On Tzadik Ches Amid Beis. As a okay, I'll do it in a second. Hanoisein lu'umanim l'taking. A person gives to a craftsman. He has something that's broken. He brings it to him to fix. The kilkaloyin, and the woman messes up. Chayiv l'shalim. He's chayiv to pay. Now, the next piece, the question is it connected to the first piece or not? Nasan lecharesh. You give to a carpenter. Shida, table, migdal, different types of boxes. L'takein, the kilkala, chayiv. So obviously there must be a difference between the first case and the second case. The first case, you give to umin to fix, and then the second case, you're giving him a fartiga kli. We'll see the difference. Chayiv l'shalim. V'habenai, a builder, shekibel alav listar as a kaisel to knock down a wall. V'shibur ha'avonim, and he breaks again. They would recycle the bricks, and he breaks them. In this case, the avonim, the stones, or shezikon, or he damages them. He doesn't break them. Chayiv l'shalim. If he knocks on one side, it falls down the other side. We'll see what that means. Okay, we'll see that. Going to the first case, we have two cases. You give it to an umin to makalkal. You give it to an umin to makalkal, and a second case where you're giving him a shida teva migdal. As a hakdama, fellas, this is very important for the whole daf. So give me your full attention and give me your eye contact. If you give a person a piece of wood, so you go to Home Depot, you go to Lowe's, and the wood sells for whatever it sells for, whatever the price of the wood is. You give it to an omen, and he fashions it into something. This wood now is worth more. It's a kli, it's something. Now, who owns that improvement? Who owns that improvement? Is it the owner? In other words, the omen, he went ahead, he took your wood, he made it into your kli, and you, the owner, own everything. You own the kli, you own the wood, of course, and you own the fact that now it's a, in Yiddish, a fartiga kli, and therefore when you pay the person, right, you're paying him his what you contracted him out for. Or no, there's another way to view it. You gave him wood, and he improved it, and he owns the shvach kli. The umin's koine shvach kli. It's as if you made a table out of the wood. This table doesn't belong to you, the owner of the wood. The table belongs to the umin who made it. And when he gives it back to you, he's selling it to you. He's selling to you what he has. That's the machloikis, whether an umin is koine shvach kli or an umin is not koine shvach kli. Very important. So again, if the umin, he goes ahead and improves it, that improvement, who owns it? If it's the owner, then clearly when the owner gives, when you give it to you and the owner gives you money, you're getting paid for your service. If on the other hand, an umin is koine shvach kli, then it belongs to the umin, the table. And when he gives it back to you, he's selling it back to you. That's important. Another thing that's important is to realize that an umin is only by kablonis, this whole shaila, not by a day worker, a schir yain. So, for example, you hire Avrami Weiner to go ahead and build an extension to your house. What does Avrami do? He goes to his workers and they build it. There is no din of umin koine shvach kli in his workers. His workers are getting paid by the day. They're getting paid by the hour. The whole din of umin koine shvach kli would be in Avrami Weinrib. He is the kablan. So if you hold umin shvana kli, so he owns your extension, and then when you pay him, really what he's selling it to you. If on the other hand, umin is not koine shvach kli, it's yours all along, and you're paying Avrami Weinrib no difference than you're paying a schiyom. But the whole din of schiris is only by kablonis, where you're the contractor getting paid for an entire job rather than a day worker. Okay, so with that in mind, again, going back over the Mishnah, two cases. An umin that's mekalko, and the second case where you seem to have given him a kli, you gave him a shida teva migdal, and he broke that as well. Amar Rav Asi, says Rav Asi, loy shanu, we did not learn, right? that the umin when he breaks the kli, if you gave to the carpenter shida tevu migdal lenoyetz to go ahead and lenoyetz by masmer, you gave him the shida tevu migdal to go ahead and put together with what I guess or reinforce with nails. The noatz behem masmer, and he put nails in it. The shibron, and he broke it. In that case, right? You owned the kli in the first place, fellas. You gave him a fire to go kli. So what's he being paid for? He's being paid for his job. So in that case, you be chayiv to pay. He chayiv to pay you. If on the other hand you gave to the carpenter not a finished kli, you gave him wood. And lastly, shida tevel migdal for the point of making a what? A kli. So you gave him the materials and you said, make me a kli. And then he made it, Vishibron, and then it broke, potter. He'd be potter from paying what? The shvach of the kli, of the shida teva migdal. He would only be required to pay you for his eitzim. Let's do this outside, guys. It's geschmack as anything. With the hakdama, you can understand it totally. If you gave him a fire to go kli, this doesn't enter the shaila of umin koine b'shvach kli, because he didn't make the kli. You owned the kli. You gave it to him. He broke it. Clear cut, no problem. He's mazik. He's chayav. However, if you gave him eitzim, he made a kli and then broke it. At that point in time, who owns that kli? If you hold ein umin koine shvach kli, then you owned it, and he be chayav to pay you for the value of a shida teva migdal. If, on the other hand, umin is koine shvach kli, he only owes you wood. He doesn't owe you for the kli. As a matter of fact, it's his kli. And therefore, when the Mishnah said that Yechayev, it's speaking where you gave him a kli. Because if you gave him wood, he'd be potter for the shvach. Because Rav Asi holds umin koina shvach kli. Are we clear on that? Totally clear? I repeated it enough times, right? We're good. Harold, you good? Okay, David Adler, you good? Excellent. Now, says the Gemara, my timer, what's the reason for Rav Asi that if you give him eitzim and he makes a kli, he only has to pay for the eitzim? Because umin koina shvach kli. Because the umin, he goes and what? And he's koina the kli. Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah, nasan lu'umanim the kilkoloi. If you give it to an umin and it's mekalkol, right? Then chayavim, the chayav l'shalim, the chayav to pay. My love, the yovla eitzim, that you gave him wood, and he's chayiv to pay when he messes up the kli, and loy, it's not, and so you see, umin is not koine shvach kli because he has to pay for the kli that he made. Loy, shida teva migdal, right? You gave him a kli, you gave him shida teva migdal. Now, hamidtani seifa shida teva migdal l'chal dereisha eitzim. Look at the Mishnah, guys. Nasan lo manim l'takein v'kilka l'chayiv. Isn't it speaking where you gave him what? Wood and he made a kli? No, it's speaking where you gave him a kli. Next case, nasan l'chare shida teva migdal, you gave him a kli. So obviously when you gave him a kli in clause number 2, it must be clause number 1, you didn't give him a kli, or else you're being repeating it. So it must be clause number 1, you gave him wood. And nonetheless, he's chayav to pay for the kli. So you see, ein umin koine shvach kli. Kasha, back in the Gemara, Amri Perushi Kamafarish. No, in fact, the second case is explaining the first case. The first case says, so it's really one case. What's the case? In that case, if you give him, he's chayav to pay for the kli. But Einochinami, if you went ahead and gave him eitzim, he'd be potter on the kli. V'hachanami mistabra, the Ketzat Ketani, Disal Kedaitach Reisha Eitzim, if you tell me the Reisha Yechayev, where you gave him wood, and there's a svara to say, Umin Koine Shvach Kli, and you don't say that, Hashtash Minan Eitzim Chayav L'Shalim, V'lo Minan Umin Koine B'Shvach Kelim, Shida Tevel Migdal Miboy. In other words, obviously this must be the explanation, because if the Reisha is speaking where you gave him wood to make, if you gave him wood to make, if you're chayiv there for the whole kli, then certainly you're chayiv when you gave him a kli. When you gave him eitzim, and there's a possible svara to say that the kli belongs to the umin, we don't say that. Certainly, when you give him an existing kli, we don't say that. So it must be that it's one case, and the safe is explaining the resha. If you give a person a fartka kli and he damages your chayiv, but if you give him wood and he builds it into a kli, he's only chayiv on the eitzim, on the wood itself. He would not be chayiv for the improvement in the kli. Says the Gemara, imishum that's na raya la area. Pani safe l'gluya resha. We learned the safe of the Mishnah to reveal the resha of the Mishnah, that you shouldn't say shleitama resha shida tevu migdol. That you shouldn't say the resha is shida tevu migdol. Aval eitzim loy. Eitzim you would not be chayiv. Tana seifa shida tevu migdol l'chal the resha eitzim v'afilu hachi chayiv chayiv l'shalim. Le'im Messiah le. Let's bring a raya, guys. That umen koine shvach kli. Nice in sema litzayveya. You give sema to a dyer. Vikidichu yaira, and he burns it. Now, let's go through the process. Wood is to eitzim. Wood is to eitzim, as dyed wool is to a kli. Right? That's the improvement, guys. Right? The improvement. So just as eitzim making it to a table, so to wool making to dye wool. Now, which point in time did this burn? Did it burn before the dye or after the dye? It says, the dyer gives to the person the material he gave him, the worth of wool. The made simroi in, the worth of wool, yes. The made simru ushvach eloi, but the worth of semer ushvach you don't give. You know why? Because he is kind of the shvach. That's a raya to Rav Asi that umin kind of shvach kli. By the fact that what? He only has to pay the worth of wool and not the worth of the improved dye wool, it's umin kind of shvach kli. Says Gemara, you have no raya. Lav sheki, excuse me. Lav sheki duchu la'acha nefila, that it burnt after it fell in, meaning after it absorbed the dye, it burnt, and therefore what it was, it had a shame kli, and nonetheless you putter on that. The ikka shvacha ushmamina umin koine b'shvach kli. I just foreshadowed it. Amashmuel hachamayaskina gan shedichu b'shas nefila. It's speaking where what it didn't burn after it became improved, it burned right away. So in other words, this is not umin koine shvach kli, because there never was a shvach. There never was a shvach. That never got a chance for the dye to be absorbed. Since there never was a chance for the dye to be absorbed, you potter. I mean, excuse me, you're chayiv just for the Dmeit Simroi, but you won't be chayiv for what? For the shvach, because there's no shvach. The lack of shvacha. Now, what's the dik on Shmuel? Aval edichu la'achan afila mai noisen la Dmeit Simroi shvachoi. Guys, what's the dik? The whole reason, guys, look at me. The whole reason you're paying the Dmeit Semer is because there wasn't shvach, mashma. But if there was shvach, you would pay for both. You pay for the wool and the dye. So it must be that why does Shmuel hold? Ain umin koine shvach kli. That the umin has to pay for the dye because he's not koine it. So let's say Shmuel argues on Rav Asi, because Rav Asi said the Mishnah speaking. He went ahead and he told us the din of umin koine shvach kli. Lema Shmuel lesle than Rav Asi. Let's say Shmuel disagrees with Rav Asi and he holds ain umin koine b'shvach kli. Amalach Shmuel no. It's speaking where the materials were going ahead what? And they were provided by the balabayas. Not only the tsemer, but the dye as well. Right? But Seva Aga Yadihu the Shakol, and the Seveya is just a Skayom, guys. In other words, he's not giving any equipment, anything whatsoever. He's not a Kabbalan even. He's a Skayom. In other words, I'm hiring you here. Here's the stuff. Make it. That's it. If that's the case, he should have to pay back the meit semer and the simanim. So if the balabayas is providing the dye and he's only a schayom and not a kablin, why does the Mishnah say if he burns it, he has to give back the semer and B the samanim? And when it doesn't say that, it must be that so now you have a raya. Therefore, it must be that he didn't give him the samanim. So who provided the dye? It must be the dyer. The dyer provides the dye. And the whole reason that he gives the meit semer, because it burnt before the dye was absorbed. Mashma, if the dye was absorbed, the umin would have to give both back to the owner. So you see that Shmuel must hold ein umin koine b'shvach kli when he pays it back. a raya that Shmuel argues on Ravasi. Ella Omar Shmuel, you have no raya. Ella Shmuel dechuya kamat chalei. He not necessarily that he disagrees with him. He's just disagreeing with your raya. You want to bring me a raya from the case of Tsemer that Messiah. Guys, that's what the Gemara said. Let's bring a proof to Ravasi when the Umin only pays for the wool, but he doesn't pay for the completed wool, right? So on that you want to be a raya is this kind of raya, because it could be that it burnt beforehand, and therefore there's no shvach in the first place. So therefore, no raya. Tashma. Let's try to be patient again with the umin kind of shvach kli like Ravasi. Hanoisin talisoi lo-umin. I'm going to be a raya that ain't umin koin machshvi. I'm going to be a kasha on Ravasi, guys. That ain't umin koin shvach kli. Hanoisin talisoi lo-umin. Someone gives a talis to an umin b'kablonis. Gomro, he completes it. In other words, you gave him wool to make a talis, to make a tunic, or whatever they used. You're making a tunic. Now, so you provided the wool, he improved it. It's now a talis. He finishes it. Now, guys, before we continue on, remember, what's the nafkamina between and koina shvach kli? If he is koina, when he returns it to you, he's selling it to you. Since he acquired it, it's his, he's selling it back to you. Guys, that's important. He's selling it back to you, okay? Now, there's an isser of leisolin that you can't leave over the wages of a worker, fellas. You can't leave over the wages of a worker overnight. You have to pay him, correct? Good? Now, with that in mind, if the woman completed it, by idea when he said pick it up, even from now until 10 days, you're not over of holding back the wages. You know why? Because you hired him out to do a job. He did the job, but he's not a schiyom. He's a kablin. Remember, he's a kablin. He's a contractor. He's not. If Avrami Weiner wouldn't pay his workers, he'd be over on the solid. If you don't pay Avrami Weiner, he'd be not over on the solid because he's a kablin. Nasan loy bechatzi ayoyim. If you give it to him where you have 6 hours left in the day, once the sun sets, because as soon as he gave it back to you, now already what he paid, you chayiv wages. He did his job, he gave it to you, you chayiv to pay. But now, if you're going to tell me that the umin made the talis, is koine the talis, and he's selling it back to you. So guys, if he's koina and you owe him money, you know the money you owe him? You're a lekeach, you're a buyer. The whole halach of leisolin is by a worker. Geshmaka, lom kasha, guys, right? Beautiful kasha. It's not shaykh leisolin over here. That you pay him, adarabah, you're buying it back from him, says Gemara. So if you're telling me that umin is koine shvach kli like Ravasi, amai over mishum balsolin, why are you over on balsolin? Right? L'chayra, it's a mechira, very geshmak. So it's kasha Ravasi. Amar Rav Mori, Braid Rav Kahana, Bigarda de Sarbala. Okay, this is going through the process of making a garment. It's speaking about you, the art school teaches it, you teaseled it. It seems there's no shvach in teaseling. The leka shvacha, sleif l'mayov nele, you gave it to him l'kuche to soften it up. Keeping the rachachi hainu shvacha, no, there is shvach. In other words, whole shayla, whatever the process is, was there shvach, not shvach? So the Gemara wants to answer, there's no shvach. So since there's no shvach, einachinami. Umin is koine b'shvach kli, but there's no shvach. Says the Gemara at the bottom line, there is shvach. So if umin's koine b'shvach kli, there should be no lisolin because there should be mechira. Says the Gemara, let's read the agre lebitshe. You hired him to smack it down, and bitshe b'masa. In other words, he's not a kablin, he's a seicher. You hired him, each time he hits it, he's going to get a ma'ah. The hainus schiris. Again, remember in the Hakdama, guys, it's only shayach what umin koine shvach kli and kablonis. If you're a schiyom, then certainly you're getting paid by the minute. It's not what is not koine shvach kli. Well, the ma'id sal kedaitach meikara the loy agre lebitshe and loy demand the oma, right? That you didn't hire him out to go ahead what and hit, right? You rather he was a kablim and you were paying him for a job and not for the time he spent working. Messiah of Sheshes, the boy of Sheshes, kablonis overlove mishum bal solin or ain't over. Vamler of Sheshes over. Lamed Rav Sheshes Pligi Ravasi. Let's say Rav Sheshes argues in Ravasi, because again, he seems to be saying that it's Shaykh by Kablonis, it's Shaykh the Isra of Leisalin in the high meaning of the Gemara. Shmuel Baracha B'Shlicha de Igrisa. Right? It's speaking about what? Shlicha de Igrisa. You notice he just was a carrier. He just went ahead what? Shlicha de Igrisa. In fact, he was not what he was the Kablonis he. Shlei Sachul Liyayim. He didn't. Rashi says he didn't rent them out for the day. The Rav Sheshes was speaking where you hired him out to be the Pony Express, to being a letter. By he come Rav Sheshes the Oiver, the Lekha Shvacha, the Likni. In other words, you're over like Solin fellas when there's no Shvach, because then the Kablonis is a skiris. Mashain Kain Vad, if you're hired to do the job, and there's Shvach, then he could agree to Ravasi that Umin Koina Shvach Kli. Okay. The next piece of Gemara is unbelievable. It would be very difficult if you guys had been through Shas before. But since you're through Shas before, you're not going to have a problem with this. But be that as it may, I thought maybe it's kedai to give you a little bit of information. Okay, let's give you a little piece of information. One, whether Uman is kind of shvach kli or not, that you know, that you understand. What about yesh l'schiris mitchila v'ad soif? In other words, when you are hired to do a job, as a schiris, along the way, do you say as soon as you begin working, you begin to accrue your payment? So you work an hour. Let's say you're hired for the day at $100, $10 an hour, $100 for the day, 10 hours a day. Do you view that every hour I'm getting $10? So by 5 hours in a day, you owed $50. Or do you say no, you owed nothing? Because ain't schiris ela b'seif. You're only going to be paid at the end of the day. So two akdamis. One, whether umin koine shvach kli, and two, the halacha of yesh l'schiris mitchila v'ad seif. Do you hold the schiris from the first hour you begin to work to the end, or ein l'schiris ela b'seif only to the end? And just when this got interesting, how about this one? Mekadesh b'milva. Mekadesh b'milva ein mukudeshes. Why? Because milva lo hitzad nitnu. And you're Michael the Chayiv, you didn't give her anything. The money that she owes you is gone. You didn't give her anything. So Mekadesh b'milva ain't a mekudeshes. So three shas sugyas to explain one Gemara. Talk about ksubis being shas cotton. We have a shas cotton Gemara in one hechatimsa, guys. Yesh l'skiris b'tchila v'ad soif, Mekadesh b'milva, and umin. Right, is what is a kind of shvach kli. Very geschmack. I love this Gemara. I really love this Gemara. Says the Gemara. Let's see. Let's say it's machlois tanoim whether yesh the skiris b'chilat sleif. Ravasi's l'chari toli machlois tanoim. Asali shirayim nizmin tabois. Make from him shirim nizmin tabois. Different type of jewelry. The kaddish l'cho. So a woman gives a man gold. Says, make for me jewelry, and I'll be mikudeshes to you. Kivin sha'asa'an, as soon as he makes it, mikudeshes. Divrei Meya. So, okay. So again, what's the case? Woman gives the man material, go ahead and make for me jewelry, and I'll be mikudeshes to you. But Meya says, as soon as he makes the jewelry, you're mikudeshes. The Chacham Ma'imrim, ein mikudeshes, ad sheyagiu mamin liyada. You're not mekudeshes until money reaches her hand. Now, guys, which money are we talking about? My mammon. Ilema oisa mammon. If you can tell me it's the jewelry, good. So let's go through it, guys. Watch. Let's go through it. Here's gold. Make me jewelry. Says Reb Meir, as soon as you make it, she's mekudeshes. When? This money, so meaning, if you wouldn't give her the jewelry, you'd be mekudeshes. What did he give her? Guys, if you're talking the money, again, a woman is mekudeshes b'kesef, yes? Yes, kesef shtarubiyah. If you're using jewelry, you be mekudeshes with kesef. You're using kesef, good? If you're telling me the moment that's involved in the transaction of kedushin over here is the jewelry, That means the following. I'll teach you Rameya. Says Rameya, Kivin Shasan, as soon as he made the jewelry, she's Mekudeshes. Where's she Mekudeshes? She didn't get anything. It can't be the jewelry, guys, because if you touch the jewelry, the words of Rameya make no sense. Correct? You Mekudeshes as soon as you make it. What? With what? You didn't give her anything. So says the Gemara, if you're speaking about the jewelry itself, why are you Mekadeshes with? El Pshita must be my mammon acher. It must be you give her, besides the jewelry that you're returning to her, you give her other money. Good? Now, says Reb Meir, when you give her the other money, she's Mekudeshes. And says the Chachamim, she's not Mekudeshes. Now, until she gets the money, you're not Mekudeshes. The Savrua de Kuli Alma, Yeshna l'schiris mitchila vatsaif. In other words, this umin, as he was working, he was accruing wealth. In other words, the woman owed him money. As soon as he began working, the woman owed him money. Good. So there was that's called a milva now. She owes him. She's a loiva, right? He's the malva. He has the money. He's owed money. He's the malva and she's the loiva. So everyone holds yesh l'schus mitchila bat saif. Udukumi alma hamakadosh b'milva enu mukadeshes. And everyone says you makadosh b'milva is not a good kedushin. So there is money here. Where's the money? The money she owes him. However, the money she owes him, you can't be mekudeshes with, correct? Why? Because it's a loan. You can't be mekudeshes with a loan. My love, therefore, the umin koine b'shvach kli kamifleki. Machloikis is whether the umin acquires the shvach kli. The Rameya savar umin koine b'shvach kli. The Rameya says that what? The umin, he acquires the shvach kli. In other words, he has something now to give her. Well, again, because he's selling to her his rights in the kli. He owns something. The money she owes him for doing the work, that can't work. That's the milva. To make the kedushin work, guys, he has to have money. How do we create money? Because he took gold and made it into jewelry, right? So Rameya says, Mikudeshes, after all, why? Because he has something to give her. The money that he has in this kli. Rabban and Savri ain't umin koine b'shvach kli. And therefore, what's he giving her? Nothing. He has to, in other words, until she gets money, she gets nothing. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Because why? Because he doesn't have anything. Any money he has is as a halva. And Memela, we could say the machloikis between Ravasi and any other Meroyim is really Ravasi's malachis tanoyim. Ravasi would be going like Rameya and not like the Chachamim. Says Merloi, the Kuli Alma ain umin koine b'shvach kli. So therefore, why should Mikudeshes, guys? Guys, why should Mikudeshes? Where's the money? Where is he giving her anything? Ela hacha b'yeshna l'schiris mitchila bat seif kamiflagi. Machloikis is whether what? There's money. Is there anything owed or not? Guys, let's figure it out now. Light Reb Meir, who says in the Kudeshes, it must mean that what? There is no halva. When he worked hour 1, he was owed nothing. When he worked hour 2, he was owed nothing. By hour 10, he's owed nothing. Then when he finishes the job, he's owed $100. Now, therefore what? There's no halva. The Kudeshes. Light the Chachamim, yesh l'schiris mitchila b'atzaif. And it's a halva. Since it's halva, ain't a Kudeshes. But in Achinami, le'inyin umin koine shvach kli has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. Rabbi Yisava ein l'skiris el b'soif. Rabbi Nasavi yesh l'skiris mitchila b'atzaif. V'ibay yisema, another way to explain the machlokes and say it's not tali and umin koine shvach kli or not. The kuli alma yesh l'skiris mitchila b'atzaif. So if everyone holds the skiris from the beginning to the end, what? There's a halva. Atzaif. V'hacha b'mekadosh b'milva kamiflagi. The Rabbi Yisava kadosh b'milva mekudeshes. Rabbanan Sari Makadosh Milva Einam L'Kudeshes. Okay. Figure this might be helpful at this point in time. According to Rameya, the Chacham until he brings the other money, right? Rameya, you could use this money. Rameya says what? The Chacham say you need other money. You can't use the jewelry. According to the first side of the Gemara, again, everyone holds that what? Mekadesh Milva is not Mekudeshes. The Kuliyama, the Malva Olem Mekudeshes. Good? So now, what's the reason, like Rameya, when you get the money that you Mekudeshes? It's a Milva. No, it's not a Milva. Umin Koine B'Shvach Kli. He owns something there. And that's what he's using in this money that he's giving her the jewelry, that he would be selling back to her. That's what he's giving her. If he's giving her something, that's good kedushin. And therefore, all he has is the halva. You can't be mekadesh b'milva. That was the first way we wanted to go ahead and explain the Gemara. And the Gemara said, no, I have another way explaining this machlokes, irrelevant whether it's an umen's kohen b'shvach kli. Ein l'schiris el b'soif. Notice everyone can hold that umen is kohen b'shvach kli. No, everyone can hold ein umen kohen b'shvach kli, right? Any umen. So where's the money then, guys? If he's not kohen b'shvach kli, fellas, where's the money? Where's the money that he's giving her? Again, it's once you put in perspective that he has to own something, it makes sense. If umen kohen b'shvach kli, that's what he owns. If ein umen kohen b'shvach kli, then what does he own? It's a milva. No, it's not a milva. Because ein l'schiris el b'sof. You don't get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. You only get 100 at the end. Therefore, it's not a milva. If it's not a milva, then he's giving us something. The kudeshes. With the chacham say no. Yesh l'schiris mechila b'ad soif. And therefore, what? It's all a halva. Since it's all a halva, ein mukudeshes. Now we're up to Rava. We didn't explain this side. This is Rava's side. We're going to explain it now, okay? We're going to explain Rava's side. Guys, so far you're so good. It's a very involved machlokes. You good? You're good? We're good? Yes? Yes, no, maybe? Okay.
I would like to, so if this is a Gemara you felt you didn't prepare well, then we're good.
No, it's the end of the Gemara I felt I didn't prepare well. It's this I got, but it took me I had to get it a race to explain it in a way, to make sure you understand that to be Mukudeshes, you have to give something. The whole Gemara, I wanted to get a race. What are you giving? If Umen Kohen B'Shvach Kli, that's what you're giving. If Ein Umen Kohen B'Shvach Kli, what are you giving? Schiris. Well, if the Schiris is Mitchila Soif, then it's Alvo, you're not giving anything. So when I worked it out in my head, I was able to give that over. It's the last part.
Just one point in the machlokes.
I'm in the middle of going getting praising myself, and there you are.
I'm sorry to give you the hakdama, but he jumped the hakdama.
On my flower bed.
He jumped the hakdama, so I can't add to what Ravavi just added. What he said about you.
You could add to it. I have an ego. It could be stroked.
Nah, we're not going to get mixed shvacha b'fanav. I'll tell you after the shir. But
okay, go ahead.
Just a question.
Sure.
So in the machlokes, the bottom line is even if you added shevach to the gold that she gave you and you embellished on it, you're not being mekadesh her until you actually give it to her.
Well, 1 second. What did you say? You just said something. You said do you add it to it? What did you add to it?
Well, he in other words, he to the gold that she gave him gold. He whatever he did to it to make it a bracelet, whatever he did. Now he's going to give it to her, but he didn't give it to her yet. So is it the kedushin's not kedushin? Or even if he added to it, even if he put a piece of gold of his own, he put a pearl.
No. That's if you put a piece of gold of your own. That's the Rabbi Shita. Again. That is nothing to do with her. That's his.
So right, until he gives it to her. Then he's
No. Here's the question. The question is, of course he has to give it to her. The question is, does he have to give her something else, Heshi? Like Reb Meir, the jewelry works. Like the Chachamim, the jewelry doesn't work. You have to give her other money. Now, you just said something that he added onto the jewelry. Then the Chachamim might say it works. Why? Because that gold she didn't give him. He's giving her something.
Right. Okay. But the point that I was trying to understand is that nothing is zero until he actually gives her. Even if he put $1 million into that gold, if you didn't give it to her, it's not kedushin according to everybody.
Of course not.
Okay, all right. That I just wanted to. That's okay.
You have to get something.
Right. She has to get it physically. Get it.
Well, not physically. We spoke about in kedushin. We spoke about the hana that she has. That it could be the hana that she's getting. It's not a physical thing, but it's hana. It could be mekudeshes with the hana.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I'm just saying your words. I'm just,
Yeah, no, because when we said Hana, I was thinking, like he did a Maisa with her, so that's the Hana she gets, but he didn't give her anything. Here, there's no Maisa. He did something to the jewelry, but there's no Maisa.
Harold, road.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's fine.
No, it's
Don't
not.
you have work, Heshing?
I'm in the middle of working. Please don't ask any questions.
Harold, I would say, no, it's not fine.
Okay.
Okay, anyway. Rava Amar, Rava Shita. Rava Amar, the Kuliyama Yeshna L'Schiris Mitchila Vatsaif. Everyone holds their schiris from the beginning to the end. Memela, guys, you can't use this jewelry, correct? If everyone holds their schiris Mitchila Vatsaif, and Mekadesh Memilva, the Kuliyama Mekadesh Memilva Eina Mekudeshes. Good? The Kuliyama Eina Umen Kain B'Shvach Kli. So, guys, we went through, like I just said to Rabbi, we went through the 3 possibilities of him getting any money. There's no money over here. Guys, look, watch. If the schir is from the beginning to the end, what's the money? It's alva. Mekadesh Memilva is Eina Mekudeshes. Eina the schir, Ein Umen Kain B'Shvach Kli, so he has nothing. So how in the world, like Reb Meir, Mekudeshes, right? Gavalda, guys, it was beautiful. Says the Gemara, no, I'll tell you why. Elahacha mayaskina kigain shahaisif lanaifach mishalai. You know what? She gave him gold. He put in a little gem. He added something. Now, so why should you not be Mekudeshes? If he added something, we understand Reb Meir. Why did the Chachamim require other money, not the jewelry, right? We have to fataish the Chachamim now. Guys, we have to fataish the Chachamim. Reb Meir savar milva upruta. Daita apruta. If you owed money and there's a pruta, remember the sugya, your das is on the pruta, and the mela you're giving God the neifich, the jewel. For Rabbanan Savri, milva pruta, daita milva, and the kaddish milva is einu mikudeshes. So now you have a wonderful chart. Beautiful way to explain all the different shittas. Again, initially we thought it's totally machloikis. Again, Reb Meir says you mekadesh with the jewelry. The Chacham say you need other money. Why the jewelry? Because you're giving us something. Because you own the shvach, and he don't own the shvach. We threw that out the window. What you're giving her is the money that you're owed at the end. There's no halva there. He says it's halva. Another Rabbi says no. Mekadesh pirish. Ein umin koin b'shvach kli. Ve'yesh l'schiris mitchila v'atzaif. So what are you getting? What are you giving us something? You add it onto the gold, epis little jewelry. So therefore what? Right? Therefore, you gave her milva upruta, daita a pruta. Milva upruta, daita a milva. There's your machlokes. And finally, okay, guys, geschmack. It's amazing, like how much you had to know to understand this Gemara, right? All this different things. I just found it very fascinating. Says the Gemara, uplukta dahani tanoi, right? In the milva, guys, mekadesh b'milva daitan milva. Okay, this is where the mekadesh b'milva daitan milva. The Tanya, b'schar she'asisi imach, right? He goes ahead. He returns the kli to her, and he says, in the schar that I did it for you, eina mekudeshes. Right? Again, when he returns it to her, she owes him money. So he says, the schar that I did it for you, it's a milva now. The kaddish b'milva and mekudeshes. The schar she'esa imach, mekudeshes. The schar that what I will do for you, mekudeshes. Because eina l'schiris, ella l'besoif. And when he goes ahead and he returns it to her, then he's giving her something. Rav Nassan says, you know why? Because sheish l'schiris mitchila v'atzaif. So therefore, it's a milva. Again, in the schar that I will do it for you, as he's working, he's accruing money along the way. Now it's a milva. The culture came to schar shasisi imach, and certainly the schar that what I did do for you when he returns it to her. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi Omer be'emes amru bein b'schar shasisi imach bein b'schar she'ese imach einu mukudeshes v'em hoysef l'noifich mishaloi mukudeshes. Okay, so therefore, if he adds on something, then mukudeshes. So let's bring out a chart over here. This is the bottom of the chart. Fooled you there, right? Here's a chart, guys. Guys, look at the chart. In the schar, what I did for you, in the schar, what I will do for you. So everyone holds in the schar what I did for you, Eina Mekudeshes. Why? Because she owes him the money. Mekadesh B'milva, right? Okay, it's alva, doesn't work. According to the Tanakama Mekudeshes, because schiris is paid back in the end, and it's not a halva, right? You only get the 100 at the end. Reb Nosson says schiris is paid from the beginning to the end. So the difference between the Tanakama and Reb Nosson, the difference is what? The difference is whether schiris is paid only at the end or schiris paid throughout. Now, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you have to add on a jewel, right? Then you be mekudeshes because your das is on the pruta. According to the Tanakama, l'chayra, according to the Tanakama, right? They would say milva pruta daital milva. Notice when he says that you mekudeshes because your das is on the pruta, it must be they argue and they hold enu mekudeshes because your das is on the milva, not on the pruta. So we just said a Gemara that machlokes that Rava brought in, whether your das is on the milva and pruta, your das on the pruta and the milva. In fact, it's machlokes tanoim. Late Reb Nosson, your das is on the milva. Late Reb Yehuda, your das is on the pruta. Very geschmack. Let's see it inside. I didn't read through it quick. Bein Tanakam Reb Nosson, it could be nayu schiris, right? The difference was that whether schiris late Reb the Tanakama is mikudeshes because schiris is paid in the end. Late Reb Nosson, schiris is paid throughout. Therefore, it's a milva. Bein Reb Nosson, Reb Yehuda Nasi, it could be nayu milvu pruta. Late the Tanakama, Yudas is on the milva. Late Reb Yehuda Nasi, Yudas is on the pruta. Ama Shmuel, new Gemara, and this is the Gemara that I didn't feel I did a good job on. Ama Shmuel, Tavach Uman Shekilko, Uman who's an expert, he's an expert shaykhid. You give him an animal, and he messes up the shchita. And Kol Shekin a Hedjit, if he's not an expert, Chayiv B'Chayiv L'Shalem. And listen to the words. Mazikhu, he's a mazik. Paisheahu, he's negligent. Naseh will view it, Ka'im Shachali Mikan, shecht on the right side, the Shachali Mikani shechs on the left side. Why are we so wordy? Why are you saying maziku paishehu? Why are you going through all of that, right? Why are you going through all of that? If you just say he's a mazik, havamina, hani mili, hekid the ka'ava b'schar. You know, when is he chayiv? When you go ahead and you pay him. Then he'd be a mazik. Al hekid the ka'avid b'chinam, where he does it for nothing. Loi, I would say he's potter, right? You wouldn't say it's mashma that the Machna Ephraim says if you oisik berishus, the patur of adam mud la'olam is off. If you oisik berishus, the patur is off. Kamashmalan paisheyahu, kamashmalan he's a paisheya, and therefore he's chayiv even if he does it for nothing. Guys, here's the key. Says Shmuel, if you're an umin, whether you do it for nothing or for a fee, you're chayiv. If you do it for a fee, maziku. If you do it for what? For L'chinam you're paisheya. L'chayra, shaykh the machlokes guys. When you do it for free, are you chayiv al smazik or chayiv al shomer? When it says paisheyahu, it's mashma that what? That it's a din in shomer. Like a shomer chinam is paisheya. Good. So that the question is what's the chiyuv? But either way, be that as it may, whatever the chiyuv is, the makar for the chiyuv, like Shmuel, there's no difference whether what it's you do it b'chinam or you do it what for free. Excuse me, for pay. You'll be chayiv. Says the Gemara, Eisvei Rav Chama bar Gura li Shmuel. He's going to make a big mistake. Rav Chama bar Gura is Shmuel the following. Hanoisin behema l'tavach. You give a behema to a shaychit, v'nivla, right? And he ruins it. Umin potter. You'd be potter and head yid chayev. So mashma, that what? There is a time when the umin's potter. The imnoisin schar, and if you give schar, bein head yid bein umin chayev. So guys, so what's the first case speaking where he's potter? Where he did it for nothing, right? Where he did it for nothing. Why did Shmuel say, Maziku Paisheyahu? If he does it for nothing, he's also chayiv. He's a Paisheya. So l'chayr, we have a brisa that's connected to Amoyer Shmuel. We have a brisa that says, even if you only time he's chayiv, the umin is what? Is if he did it for schar. But if he did it bechinam, he'd be pater. Shmuel said Paisheyahu. Even bechinam he's chayiv. How can Shmuel argue on a brisa? He can't. Right? That's the kasha. Guys, you got the kasha? Shmuel says Yechayev, whether you do it for money or you do it for free. The brisa says if you do it for free, you potter. That's the kasha on Shmuel. Amalei, Shmuel gives a very, very interesting retort to Rav Chamar bar Goria. La'aker meicha, your head should become cloudy. Your head should become cloudy. I had problems with this, of course, and I have. The Chazan Ish says in Sanhedrin Daf Chaf, the Chaf, no, that's not what it says. No. Shita Kubeses, in the name of the, forget the Chazan Ish. The Shita Kubeses in the name of the Agoin, Pirish, Ein Lamoich B'Katkadai. He wasn't cursing him, saying that your head should become cloudy. He's saying you don't have a brain in your head. In other words, he's not cursing him, he's saying a statement. He's saying it's very hard to, again, there's a tshuva chavis yoyer. It's brought down. I think it's kufnam vez kufnam nevav in the Sefer Shmiras Haloshin. It's right at the end of the Sefer. It goes through all the retorts of the caustic, question, retort of one Amora to another Amora. In this case, it seems to be Shmuel's retort to Rav Chaim bar Guya seems to be very, 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 very painful. And mashma shlei killah. Mashma he didn't curse him. Ella his bata becharifis neged shelaso. He answered him becharifis with a sharfkeit connected his question. In other words, obviously holding for a question. Ubeyavis perishu bitmia. It's a lashon of bitmia. Aren't you worried that perhaps your brain will become cloudy? Asking such a question. So, in this light, we can say it's not a klala, right? He didn't curse him that his brain. Pashab Shadi cursed him. His brain should become cloudy. We have two drachim how to explain it. One, according to the Shita Mukubetzes, he's told him a statement, you don't have a brain in your head. And according to the Ivitz, it's a rhetorical question. Asking such a question, aren't you worried that your head should become cloudy? In other words, it's such a foolish question. But he's not cursing. Those are two ways to answer the sharp retort of Shmuel to Rav Chana bar Guria. And we'll see in a second what question he had on him was. Asum Rabbanon, came along a certain came to Rabbanon, and they asked Shmuel the same question. It says over here that an umin that does the bechinam is pater, and you say an umin does the bechinam is chayev. So Malay, hashta shekalta ma'ida shakol chavercha, right? You should go ahead and take what your friend took. In other words, you're the same as Rav Chama bar Guria. Same thing. Your head also should be cloudy. So now, what is Shmuel saying? I said the din that Reb Meir holds you chayev if you do a bechinam, the kamisali rabbanan, and you're answering me the rabbanan. So what, guys outside? So like the rabbanan, if you do it bechinam, you're pater. Like Reb Meir, if you do it bechinam, you're chayev. So in both cases, who requires you to be more diligent? Obviously, Reb Meir. If Reb Meir says Yechayev Bechinam, it must be you have to be super diligent. So in other words, we want to know. We're going to try now. The Gemara is going to grapple. Where did Reb Meir say his din that you have to be more diligent? Where did Reb Meir say his din that you have to be more diligent? Okay, guys, you good? So again, the setup outside. Said Shmuel, an umin shekilkala. Let's say that's a butcher that messes up the shchita, whether it's getting paid chayev, or whether bechinam chayev. And this is the problem. Bechinam chayev, we have a brisa, a tana, keneged Shmuel, that says what? You are pater. Shmuel was asked the question. Said Shmuel, I said my din that you're chayiv according to the Reb Meir. You're asking me from the Chachamim who say you're pater. So it's mashma now contrasting Reb Meir and the Chachamim. Reb Meir, who holds you chayiv b'china, must hold that to a higher standard, right? You're expected to be a higher standard, or else why would you be chayiv b'china? So now Gemara is going to search for where do we see Reb Meir holds you have to be more diligent than the Chachamim. Guys, you good? You set up? We're set up good. Good. Says the Gemara. The Kamisali Rabbanan. I said, Rabbi, you tell me the Rabbanan. Amailoi daikis mili. Why would you medaik in my words? Shani oimem maziku paisheyahu. He's a mazik, he's a paisheya. Nasik oimeloi. We'll view it as what? Koimeloi shoicheli mikan b'shocheli mikan. Mayislei hai svara. Who holds the svara that what? That you're a paisheya, meaning even bechinam. It's Rameya. A person has to go ahead and place on his soul, literally, in other words, he has to be more diligent. Hi, Rabbi Meir. Which Rabbi Meir are you talking about? Ilay Maha Rabbi Meir, and the Simon is Kuflam Namid. Ditnan, we've had this earlier in the Masech, fellas. Which requires a bigger shmira? A muid or a tam, right? So kashru balav in my seira, if you went ahead and you tied it up, but no befun of karoi, and you put up a fence that could stand the ruach mitsuya. In other words, you did a shmira pechusa, v'yatzav hizik, and it goes out and does damage. Bein tam bein muad chayev. Div Reb Meir. Now, like Reb Yehuda, shmira meula pechusa would be fine. So what do you see? When the Meir says Yechayev, because it's not enough to watch a Shmir Pechusa, you have to watch a Shmir Me'ula. So he requires a higher standard of Shmira. So the same thing over here. When it comes to Shechting, he requires a higher Shmira, and therefore if you do a Bechinam and you mess it up, you be Chayev. Pasam Bikroi Pligi. Over there, we went through its Machloikas in the Pasuk, how you dash in the Pasuk between Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda, but it's not totally what in Svara. And this is a Svara. Ela Horab Meir, it must be Srav Meir. Ditnan, the Mishnah says, that Svayolei Edaim, I'm giving you to dye black, to dye red, but Savei Shachar and he dyes it black, Shachar to dye black, but Savei Edam he dyes red. Rabbi Omer, Noisen Lod Demei Simroi, he gives him what? The worth of his Semer. Now the Havamina of the Gemara is he did nothing wrong. In other words, he didn't think he did anything wrong. And the Chacham and Rameya says, no, you did something wrong. So you see that Rameya holds him to a higher standard. Says, no, Hassan be a daim koluminei. There, he was miskamen to burn it. He burnt it. In other words, his kavanah was to burn it. So it's not no bearing on that on our shaila. Our shaila is where it wasn't masip b'yadai. It was masip b'yadai, but he was pasheya. But l'chayra, it's not negeya us because there he burnt it. He burnt it by himself. I think let's see how Rashi learns over here. B'yadayim kolomine, shneskaven l'shanos. In other words, he was miskaving to go ahead and be mishana. Once he was miskaven l'shana, that's why he was chayiv. Mashain came by umin shekilkol. Trust me, he didn't want to go ahead and be mishana. He didn't want to go ahead and mess it up. So therefore, it's no raya. So we had two attempts to Reb Meir that you need a higher standard. One from muid that a shmir mechus is not enough. We said that that's Xeris HaKosev. Two, we're saying over here from the fact that he has to pay for messing up the wool is because he was miskaven to mess it up. Elohor Reb Meir, it's the following Reb Meir, did not. Nishbra Kadai, this is going to be the final. Again, we had all these cases before. Guy is walking along, guys, and he trips. He trips. Over his own feet. He trips over his own feet. And as a result, the barrel that he was carrying breaks. V'lei silka, and he doesn't go ahead and clean it up. And nafla or nafla gamloi, his camel, he tripped, and as a result of his tripping, his camel fell. And he didn't pick up the camel, and someone came along and got damaged. Is he chayiv as bar or not? But may oimer chayiv b'niskon. The chacham moimin potam midini adam v'chayiv b'nei shemayim. The kaimelon, what's the yisayim machlokes? The b'niskal posheyahu. If you're niskal, if you trip, or you're posheya or not. So that's what the argument. Remeya holds that what niskal is posheya, and therefore you're chayiv for stumbling over your 2 feet. Makaumin shekilko posheyahu, and therefore he's chayiv to pay. Whereas the Chachamim hold Niskalaf B'Sheya would hold you're not chayiv to pay if you oisik b'rishus. You're not. So Shmuel, who gives the sharp retort of Chacham Bar Guria, but you're asking basically the Chachamim. The Chachamim say taka b'chinam yapater because you're not a B'Sheya, not a B'Sheya. Whereas he says no, you are a B'Sheya. B'Sheya who Masik B'Sheya who Niskal B'Sheya. Reb Meir holds a Niskal trippings B'Sheya. Reb Meir holds that Tovach Umin Shekilkol Paisheahu. We should be more careful. Afilu Avad Bechinam, and therefore your kasha to me from the brisa that says Potter is not a kasha because that brisa went according to the Rabbanon, and I said my din according to Reb Meir. Okay, that's the part I didn't think would do well, but I think it worked out well. Yes, Rabbi, you give me the worked out well. Good. Let's finish up. Rabbi Barachano, Rabbi Yochanan, Tovach Umin Shekilkol Chayev. Right? Even if he's an expert like the Tfachim of Tzipuri, he will be chayiv. In this place, Amalei and Rabbi Yochanan said, "Zil, I see raya the mamchis the Tanagoylim. Go bring a raya that you're an expert in Tanagoylim. Patroch and I'll pata you. So you see umin shekilkol. If you're an umin, you pater. Rabbi Yochanan says chayiv. Further more from a Maiso, Rabbi Yochanan says, go bring a raya that you're an umin and I'll pata you. Like Hasha, kam bechinam, kam b'schar. We pass like the Chacham, not like Reb Meir, guys. So you bring me a raya that you're an expert, and I know you were doing it bechinam, you'll be pater. And when do I say yechayiv? When you do it b'schar, because I hold like the Chachamim, not like Shmuel. Shmuel and Reb Meir. Kihodom Rav Zera haroitza she's chayiv le'tevach. If a person wants the tevach to be chayiv, if you're so diligent in going ahead and you give it again, remember, fellas, they didn't have refrigeration. People would get together, they buy an animal, and the person would go ahead and she would shecht up the animal and quarter it up and sell parts, right? So you want this guy? This guy's an umin, he's an expert. You want him to be mechayiv? You want insurance? Guess what? Slip him a few bucks, because if you don't, and he's clean up, he's going to be pata. So go ahead. You want to be right? So you chayiv tavach. Yagdim loy dinri. Go ahead and give him a little money beforehand. Meisavei, amoy lechitin litchoin. Okay, a person brings chitin. He's bringing what? He's bringing wheat. He's bringing wheat to the grinder, to the mill. Okay, right. And before he grinds it, he's supposed to soak it. By soaking it, it's going to remove the klipa. It's going to remove the bran. Instead of soaking it, he doesn't. For asan subin, and as a result, it becomes very heavy whole wheat. Oimursin, even if he goes ahead and grinds it, it's going to be like subin, like bran. And also, kemach nachlim, if in addition, another case, if you give kemach flour to a baker to bake, for asa pasni pulin, and he bakes break that's very flaky and you pick it up and it breaks. The hamel tabach, if you give an animal to a sheikhet, the nivlan becomes nevela. Chayiv make shu naisasacha. He's chayiv because he's like a shemasacha. Mashma guys, he's not a shemasacha. He's like a shemasacha. So it must be that what did you give him money, fellas? No, you didn't give him money because why does it say ke naisasacha? So obviously he's expected to be as diligent as a naisasacha, despite the fact that he's doing it for nothing. Kasha. You, Rabbi Yochanan, said if you do it for nothing, you pater. Here you see, even if you do it for nothing, you chayiv. That Gemara answers, Ema b'fneishu noisesacha. Don't say he's kir, but say kir say noisesacha. It's speaking where you paid him. Where you paid him, Hitakavat is chayiv. But if you didn't pay him, Hitaka will be pater.